2021, 2022.
They operated for a good chunk of that without interior health license for a long time.
So I'm just curious, like, why neither of those showed up and then now we're here.
So if you want to give a little background, just we've experienced that land up in front of you.
Yeah,
Maybe, if you don't mind, maybe go back to when you first originally started.
That's what I was gonna do.
Okay.
So when we purchased the land in 2015, it needed extensive interior renovations just to bring it to code for interior health expectations. So we applied for a building permit. We had our septic approved. We had an electrician. We did all the renovations and applying through the RDCK for our building permits.
Perfect, yeah.
None of it, we didn't know we needed to ask the ALR for permission. We went to the regional district office. We're not blaming. We're just saying this is what happened. We went to the regional district, got a building permit, did all of our work at the interior health expectations, got the permitting through them, kicked the doors wide open. When we closed in 2020, okay, so now this spring, since he actually got a hit, we were like, okay, we're on the list. We know when the next one's going to be done. And we do have a little bit of, not an expansion. We have some more remodeling that we want to do. We need to put in another walk-in freezer. When we know that there's a backlog of getting your building permit in through the district is what we heard. So I want to get off this again. And then with some of the things that have gone on in our neighborhood with other businesses and the ALR being around, we started asking each other questions. Did we have to ask permission? Right? You don't know until it's happening outside your own door. And if nobody tells you, it doesn't bring you that information. So we contacted ALR commissioner and he directed us to regional district and the ALR to put our application. Here we are.
So there, when you originally got your first building permit, there was no mention by RDCK at that time.
No.
Because it was classified as a renovation at that time.
They knew what we were building because they had to sign off on our walk-in cooler and freezer. And they also had to sign off on the work that was done because we had to skin the inside of the building. They were signing off on pieces of that renovation. So the building inspector at that time was fully aware of what we were building. And we're not blaming. It's historical facts, black and white. But then when it came to our attention that maybe we should be looking at the ALR, we started asking questions. And we're glad we did because had we not, and we found out after the fact, because we've already dumped a significant amount of money into the building, we found out after the fact and had to go for this, it'd be much more stressful.
Yeah.
Did you have more to add?
Nope, you pretty much covered it. It was like, we went through the process in the beginning and like, you don't know what you don't know at that point in time. It's, but we know now. So we're going through the process.
I guess that's a bit of popped up at some point.
Well, it's interesting, like, we see what we went through back then, which like we thought we were following the rules, but if the other shops are in the same situation that we are, and I haven't looked into that at all, it's just brought to my attention now.
And we're not alone.
Yeah, we're not alone in that process.
So I think the others, we can't speak for them, but they didn't ask.
Well, we don't know.
We don't know,
But it's,
assumed.
I guess if you don't know what questions to ask as a civilian, maybe there's an opportunity for some learnings or some down the road, who knows, for, the inspectors, but regardless of that, that's where we are.
Well, planning should know.
It'd be nice to say this is the first thing to come across. No. Unfortunately.
And sometimes too, yeah, things, some things go through and and honestly, where you don't know what you don't know, let's say. And as long as nobody complains about something down the road, then it's okay, right?
Yeah.
But sure as heck, if somebody has an issue about something and then it's like the right person, and that becomes an issue, and then it's like, oh, now what?
And
And
then
honestly-
many have extended probably more money into it by then. to
Yeah.
Maybe an unfavorable answer.
And to the chair's point, that's honestly what the commissioner we were talking to, Mr. Wallace was saying that we can't go back to the fact that you were operating then, but how it would have been brought to their attention is had a neighbor complain or somebody put in a formal complaint. And then your doors are closed until it's resolved, and that's stressful for everybody.
But again, sorry,
We don't want that.
for the regional district, whoever's here. How come like when someone comes in to ask or whatever and they know, okay, it's in Erickson or it's in Canyon, there's no more questions about, are you in the ALR or anything, right? Like,
So that's what I'm thinking about right now. When was the last time that you went into RCK, presumably into the office, let's say, to inquire as to where you're at, the status, what do I need to do? When was that? Last,
Lately,
Yeah.
on the status of. So
to
the
your
last,
process.
so the last time we had building permits was back in 2016 to do the original renovation.
Okay,
And
and
then
you,
we went this spring,
the spring, 2026.
yeah, to say, this is what we're interested in. And then we contacted, that wasn't brought to our attention, but what was happening in our community, in our little neighborhood with the coffee shop and that,
Yeah,
we thought, you know what, we are fully aware of what the ALR does and that, so we started asking our own.
did you make inquiry over the phone or did you go into the counter at the RCK office?
So for the inquiry, the initial inquiry was a couple of phone calls. And actually what we did do is, because of what's going on in the neighborhood, we phoned the ALR directly.
Right, so in 2026, when you went back in, did you go into the
No, I
office?
contacted Nelson, I
Okay,
contacted the
so-
planning department there.
Nobody
just directed
mentioned a
to-
checklist type of an approach for people putting in applications, that sort of thing?
The individual that's in the phone, first name was Laura in planning from Nelson, and she directed us to zoning. She looked into zoning, and she's the one who gave us Ron Wallace's phone number for the ALR.
All right,
And he's out of Bernie.
back to your question. There is a checklist process that when you go to the counter within RCK, and Robin can testify to this, but there is depending on what the nature of your question is, there is a handout that allows you to walk through a number of things in a checklist that you probably ought to be aware of. That's supposed to be what's, I don't know quite,
And I don't know if that existed back in.
no, that's why I asked the latest time, because that checklist really started making its way while I was building my house, so back about 3 years ago.
No, the only question I had when I came in spring of 26 was, how do I contact zoning? Look at zoning bylaws.
So you already
And I was
pretty much knew what the questions you wanted answers.
We were curious, and we thought it's better to find out ahead of time before he quits his full-time job now. And we've invested more money into renovations just to be told no.
Was,
I like to think so. We're still hopeful.
but it's kind of a bitter pill. You get possibly punished for being upfront, where we have many that do it and then ask forgiveness.
Yeah.
Right.
So not that really matters, but it
Yeah,
is not the right, it doesn't feel good on your guys' behalf.
yeah, but the way we look at it is we just wanna be ahead of it. Going through the process is going through the process, and we've learned a lot. And it's been a real eye opener. There's so many layers of things going on behind the scenes that we don't even think about. These committees, I had no idea even existed until a month or two ago. So going through this process has been an eye opener for us to make sure that, we're staying within, we're keeping it between the lines. You know, and then once we get rolling, then there's no question as to whether we're right or wrong, we can just do business.
Full transparency.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Fact you mentioned last night was, you're not an abattoir.
No.
You're just a meat cutter.
Yeah.
We're
That's-
custom cutting.
So that's, important, I think, in the consideration.
Yeah, and we have no interest in doing any slaughtering in that area, like it's just not the right place. And like, it's worked in the past, working with the local abattoir, so it makes sense to us just to continue on. Like, we'll always look at business, needs, but right now, our focus is custom cutting.
One thing, I think, to Director Tierney's point, one takeaway I had from the meeting last night was the language. When it was pulled up for bylaw policy number 11, and they were directing to like A and B, and it spoke to processing facility. I think that's where people get confused. Because it spoke to a livestock processing facility, and we're a dead stock. We don't deal in livestock. We're strictly a meat cutting processing.
Yeah.
Not a livestock processing.
Yeah, so I'd say quite a different scenario than terms of was the
Yes.
other part there, yeah.
Yeah.
The impact on neighbors is next to none.
All they smell is the hams or whatever, the bacons and stuff.
Yeah.
But before.
What do you do with that might be
What do you do with your waste? Just dumpster?
Yeah, we have an agreement with Tippett. For the first while, we were delivering it ourselves. We had a staff member that was taking it once a week, and they would drive out to the back of the dump, meet the loader operator at a specified time, he'd dig a hole, and then it was dealt with. And then through working with Tippett, they come on a specified day when we arrange, and they take it for us. And do this exact same thing, but it saves us paying somebody to go out and do it.
So as an aside, now that we've identified 2 other places, what happens with that? Nothing.
Oh, can I follow up the deals?
Yeah.
Sorry, and one piece to that is we keep all of our waste and trim in a cooler. So there's zero smell to it whatsoever.
Yeah, that was
And
gonna
it
be
doesn't
my
get-
next question. You have any bear problems?
No,
Well, they
it
probably-
gets loaded into the dumpster in the morning too. And that was typically on Friday morning. We have to live next door to that shop.
Clean.
Yeah.
Days in the long run.
So Dave, I think like the other 2 cut wraps, like Ossendorf, that's grandfather. There's no getting around that.
Why?
It's been there since,
Yeah, but if it didn't go through it,
No, but rules change.
rules change, you can't go back.
so when did the rules change? Probably been there forever, right? For these 50% rules and everything.
Well, that was something that Tom dealt with, and Roger, Kelly, you might know more about that. That's when did the per se 50-50 rule come in?
I think it's been there forever. The
It
difference-
wasn't, if I can, it's
Sure,
during
go
my
ahead.
tenure. I'm in year 18. It came in while I was a director. Within the last 18 years, maybe 15. I'm just going through my files right now of, I keep bylaw amendments for this particular bylaw, and I can't find it. But it's not 100 years ago or 50 years ago. It's within 18 years, probably more likely 15 years. It was myself, Kettle, and Binks, I guess it would have been, that we wrestled over this. And it seemed practical to let people process off-farm product. It just makes sense. Nobody's at the critical mass. We don't have massive farms. It just makes sense to be able to pull the right products into one processing facility so it's a viable business instead of having 20 people competing with each other. To find the exact date, I don't think I'm going to find it tonight somehow. I've got too many files on this computer.
I think you're pretty close there, Gary, because that would have been, well, I mean, when Tarsville first opened, that was a big that was probably when you and everybody were kind of arm wrestling over the 50-50 rule when he started. And that eventually kind of got put to bed or relaxed, if I'm correct.
But it was also at that time, it was the province changed the rules on processing, so they had to bend the rules within the ALR to allow processing of other animals on your property.
I think a lot of that stuff came in, after the BSE thing in 103, right?
Well, yes, but
So,
when Tom opened the abattoir, I mean, those rules were there. I mean, just like when our abattoir was mobile. And we were doing
But that was at least 2012.
70% of our own birds, so the custom work we didn't do never hit the radar. But Tom kind of waged, and Director Kelly kind of waded through that before you and I started. And kind of relaxed. I don't believe the rules have changed, have they, Director Jackman? It's just RDCK was a little more willing to be a little somewhat flexible.
Yeah, I think so. We brought it in one shot. I think Area B was a little slow to adopt it. We did a little arm wrestling over that. But yeah, it sort of came in one shot. Your time frame is probably close around Tom Tarswell's operation when it came in. We don't have any planning staff on this, but I just made a little side note here as to when were these changes. But because you remember when Dave and Margaret started their orchard, and then they wanted to bring the product from Sirdar. That was around the same time. That was all the same controversy. So when did, Michael Wiggin convince their family to plant the other orchard up at Sirdar? That all happened around the same time. There's a big controversy there. Were they growing enough grapes in Windle to be able to bring in the grapes from Sirdar? If you want to nail it down for future understanding, we can do that. We just need someone in staff who is a better computer than mine to find all these amendments.
I guess that's kind of the bigger lump that we're going to be dealing with is that 50-50 rule of, where does that stop or where does that start? And I don't, and you guys as RDCK got to figure that out of saying, okay, where are we going here in the future? And what is the actual rules?
So Dale, you referred to the 50-50 rule, but I don't know what that is.
50-50 is you can only process whatever you
Half
grow,
yours, half someone else's.
whatever you grow.
When Tom started, it was kind of brought to light, probably a few other, like Mr. Jackman said, a few different things going on in the valley at the time. But it was pretty clear that it had to be 50% of your own product. So if Dave started an XYZ in his property, technically, he needs to have 50% of his own product going through there.
But it's different for alcohol. I only have to do a
Well,
fraction.
that's good. Yeah. But the 50-50, is that an RCK
No, it's
requirement or is that a provincial?
that's provincial ALR. But it's probably
And the-
sometime.
Yeah. I
Probably
was going to
sometime
say the
around-
idea is, oh, I'm sorry. You're just a plain industrial site. If all you do is take other people's product and process it, you're just an industrial site. You're not a farmer. So that's the difference. If you're a farmer, at least half of what you're processing is from your own farm. If you bring 100% of stuff from other farms and process it, you're industrial. And so that's where the 50-50 lies. You got to allow a farmer to process a little bit more than what they produce in order to have some synergy among the bigger community. So that's where this all stems back to. So somebody doesn't pretend to be a farmer and just be industrial.
In this application with the ALR, you're familiar with this?
Yes,
concept?
we are.
Or are you growing your own?
And we
So
were
you'd
very
be 100%.
transparent. We were very transparent with Director Wallace when we spoke to from the ALR.
So that'll be something of interest
Yeah,
from their point of view, how they're gonna regard that.
That's why I'm asking about the other place.
the majority, about 90%, so 100% of our custom cutting was regional, right? Either from the valley or the direct surrounding area. And the only concern we've heard so far is in the retail end of things, because we did sell as well. And that equaled about 30% of our sales. And of that 30%, 90% of that was grown in the valley. And so it's a little bit unique for a custom cutting shop, as in providing a service to agriculture. And that is spoken to.
I think in my mind, to me, the precedent is already out there that there is similar, like you say, with Austin Doors, for example, or the other guy, that they're doing for everybody as well. It's not on their place. You could almost stretch a different scenario with our welding shop out in Lister that we dealt with one a while ago. There again, the welding shop didn't really take away anything land-wise, agriculture land-wise, but he's providing a service for the local farmers. So that kind of, there again, it's the same, in a way, it's the same. You're enabling the rest to do more with what they're actually growing, so.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, there again, it's not a Cargill kind of operation, so either.
No, and the way we operate, like the custom cutting is the main thing, but when we have the opportunity to showcase local, we like taking the local product and taking it as far as we can with it, whether when we tell the stories about steaks being sold in Squamish or steaks being flown to Toronto to share with family, that's the kind of stuff that really clears our appetite, because it's taking something that was grown by local people and you're showcasing it in places where you wouldn't see it. Yeah. There was a beef from here that came directly to our shop and went to a restaurant in Vancouver. That's pretty cool.
And just to be clear, when we put together our farm plan and we were applying through Interior Health for our licensing, we went through ridiculous amount of it, and being able to grow it all on our land and put it into our product and value added. There was through line. It wasn't 100% of our business, but there was through line, and we used as much local or on the farm as we possibly could.
Well, I took a detour for a second. On the wall up there, there's an observer with a hand up. Does that mean there's somebody that wants to say something from there?
I don't, it's just the mouse.
It's just the mouse.
Oh.
So that's gonna give you one here. You wait them too long.
Right. No, just where it was.
But the 50/50 was in 1993. Is when it was introduced.
Really? Okay.
And they did it because there was farms on the coast that were just turning into like blueberry processors instead of growers. And then it went from there, and then it shook out because the land at that time was reasonably affordable to do it. And then the land became so valuable, and they were building those massive houses over time, and so they put these things in place that type that. But even now, let's say you were getting your cherries packed somewhere in town, you take it over and pack, there's a plus 50% of that again.
Yeah.
As far as Austin Door Full, that's pretty much grandfather. They've been cutting since right around C2. I think it's something those maybe should be looked into.
But if you were, I would say they're probably after 93 at Austin.
Austin Doors were around 2000 because we had our first shop in 97. It went till 2000, and he was looking.
Yeah.
He was looking at gear.
That's why I
So
say it
we were
was,
selling out.
it was after
The first time.
93.
Not much, because
But still, if the rules were in place, we're what now?
we were taking
Decades later.
we were taking stuff to him long before 95. He was still part-time, I think, at that point, because he was still drywalling and still cutting. And on a weekend after hours kind of a deal, until he got busy enough, he didn't wanna drive over.
Right.
But they were doing all the Tom's farm kills on the farm until Tom built the abattoir.
And that was just about 2010 or so.
Yeah.
For the,
But they were cutting all the Tom stuff. Long before that, I think they were already harvesting at Tom's when Tom's dad was still around.
Can I interject from
Sure,
your chair?
yeah.
I think regardless of whether or not they have permission or have permission, there's such a need in the valley for all the cutting shops. Because right now there's an exponential amount of animals that are being processed outside valley.
I would agree on that.
We've enjoyed working alongside all of them.
Yeah.
So,
And not only that, like if, when we were in it in, the first time, like 16 and 17, we were bringing a lot of it into the valley. Like it was bringing business to the abattoir as well. The abattoir was bringing business to us, we were bringing, it grew all the way around.
Dean, you have any questions or anything for me?
it's not a good sign.
He's thinking, you never know.
So before you guys go to, and really the vote is whether or not to support it going on to ALR from your point of view. What I'd like to be clear about when we're looking at this at the board table is, from what I understand, the opportunity of the 50-50 has got my head wondering about, will that come back up as a point of contention perhaps, or a point of reference from ALR? The 100% and then the value add that you speak to. From your guys' point of view, the 100% and the value add opportunity, is that something that you would encourage in the valley? I mean, free market is free market, service is service. And
What do you mean 100%?
well, if all their product was not grown, homegrown, it was all 100% brought in.
Yeah.
So because that's really where what you guys are focused on, and at the board table, we may have to understand that conversation from your point of view. So any thoughts on that?
You're asking us as farmers?
The people in the valley with what the market is.
Although this, we got 2 examples already that aren't following.
Well, following it or not, I mean, that's sort of that's a different program.
It's not a here or there, as
Come
far
on.
as the vote goes, right?
It's not in the ALR application, it's not, we're not gonna be talking about who's doing what and who's not. We're talking
What's in
about-
front of us?
Yeah,
So I would think there is definitely a need for another facility like that.
Yeah.
Because, otherwise the waiting lists are awful long. And then like I got to deal with this last night too with the APC, right? Like I mentioned too, like ones like Ospendorf, I think they're getting up in age and they're not gonna wanna do more, they wanna do less, if anything. So that's a factor. So like I say, the situation doesn't get any better going forward. And, for that matter, Nathan over there, he's not in great shape either, so he's not gonna be expanding or doing more than he's doing. So like I say, we do need, I think there's enough cattle out there and pigs or whatever else, sheep or whatever you do. There's enough of that out there to keep people busy and doing this. So that's my perspective on it anyway.
There is a demand. A couple of those that are cutting good volume, not licensed. No interior health enough. They're probably doing 60% of the valley. Probably 50% of what's killed at the abattoir is being hauled out over the hill. Can you get that back? Well, maybe, probably. Do you even want it? Well, maybe not.
well, that identifies quite a large risk, because that could change the law.
Well, and that's my thought is that there is a demand. But in all honesty, we do have a lot less animals in the valley right now because the price of a calf is $4,000. A lot of people are saying, put them on the truck. I don't want to deal with them for another year. As far as the abattoir goes, at this point, we're comfortably killing a day a week. Comfortably. Are we turning people away? I don't believe we are. But it's just, the industry itself is a little slower than history, not saying we'll come back next fall. But those two other cut wrappers.
And to that point, I don't want it to sound arrogant, but the phone still rings.
Oh, for sure.
And we
Because,
haven't been open for
Yeah.
5.5 years.
no, did you guys not sell most of your equipment or did you, no, I never did sell?
We sold parts that we didn't,
You didn't really
wouldn't
want.
need going forward in the future. And the rest is all in storage in the cooler.
That was one of those phone calls. Go pasture sign one day.
Would you hit milk on the way to work? Or-
No, I'm always thinking ahead. Yeah, I'm always thinking ahead.
Oh,
Just never know when you might.
Get up straight out.
And to speak to Commissioner McNamar's point, yes, everything that's going west over the summit is being processed at the local laboratory here. But everything that goes east is being processed at those private laboratories. So there's still, and having talked to those producers, we feel pretty confident that there's enough of a demand.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm just,
We're willing to take the risk.
Nice thing about free market.
yeah, it's very well.
Free market.
So you get this in front of you, that is not so pretty.
Trying to make it more.
Okay, any other thoughts, or do we want to go to a vote?
I do have one more comment.
Okay.
So when we did reach out to, we were just referring from the ALC, from his point of view, to the conversations we had, he figured that it wasn't, a major concern. We explained the 50% rule that like we're not growing animals. We do some vegetables and stuff like that that we push through. Through our conversation with him, he didn't seem to see an issue with it over that conversation, but I guess that's the opinion that he had at that point in time.
It's what the rest of their directors think.
Yeah.
And it could be really slow too. Hearing back.
Gary, any other comments from you?
Mine now, probably.
No? Okay.
Maybe you should mention that last night the question was put to the planner. And this does go to the AOR after it gets passed this group. And they prioritize ag, so it was said probably a maximum of 6 months. You guys are planning on 2027, good thinking way ahead. And the timing is probably right dead on. ALR will deal with it for the end of the year.
Right, which would be fantastic, yeah.
That's the plan.
Chair, what is the actual wording on the top line there of what we're going to be voting on? Support or not support the application as presented, or is it pointed?
Yeah, no, basically just like that, yeah. The Area B Advisory Planning Commission support or not support the agricultural land reserve referral to Corey and Rebecca Hushcroft, the property located at address in Erickson. And that's all it says. Carried or not carried.
That brings it off.
Surprised Dave hasn't been over here yet.
Well, I thought you got to put it on plates or something.
Yeah, you might want a different color.
We got a big,
Did Sheila send ice cream?
Can I do the honors?
Jerry, please write down there. Random questions.
this is the guy that will never bring treats to work. Love him, love him. He's just gonna bring it.
So it's either a yes or no.
Yes or no, support or not support.
If I can, as a board, when we have ALC applications, we have three options. We can support, and it goes forward to the ALC for their determination. We can have no comment, and it still goes to the ALC for their determination. Or if as a board, starts at rural and then goes to board. If we do not support, it stops. It does not go to the commission. So there are three options for me and Roger and Kelly in committee and then a board. The third option being no comment. If you're uncertain as to what it really means. The other thing, when you do go to the zoning bylaw for A, B, and C, it says in all of them, and I mean, I did get that far to pull them up. It says that right in there, it may require ALC non-farm use approval when you're talking about farm product processing. So to me, that should be an option for you as a commission at all times to say no comment. But that's and there is, is someone from planning online? There is it says planning
Not yet.
department on my screen.
I can't see.
Yeah, that's
That's presumptuous.
Yeah, as a rule, we always pick one side or the other side. The closest we get is sometimes if our numbers are such, we end up with a tie vote. That's close what we get. Not side one way or another.
Fair enough, but planning should clarify at one point, because we're allowed at committee to vote not support or not. We're allowed to vote no comment, and it still goes through. So that option maybe should be open to you guys in the future.
Well, and if I could add to that, Gary, that no comment. Yeah, that's something that we are aware of at RAC when we're talking about it. But it's also contingent upon what is in the report. How staff has written that report, what angle that they're putting forward. That's where I pay close attention to if we choose to do a no comment. Want to make sure that we as directors are confident that it's reflecting what the area really wants. Sometimes no comment doesn't. We're paying attention to that.
So when you vote to say no comment, that has to be consecutive amongst the group, or can you just one director at a time say no comment? Or you as a group have to say no comment
Yeah.
to be opt change?
Somebody puts that motion forward, the no comment motion, and then everybody votes on it. We debate it before we vote on it.
And then decide as a group.
That's the day this group has no comment.
Well, yeah, exactly. So in my mind, if we were to say no comment, that means like basically we don't care, it doesn't matter. And that you're not gonna get from us. They always matter.
Depends how many people are picking on us like we were last year.
Well,
Maybe that would have been a better thing to take.
yeah, that may be, that was fun. We had one, years or so ago, and we ended up on the bigger room over there. And there must have been, 100 some people facing back at us.
You were popular.
Oh, I'll tell you, we didn't know that ahead of time. We walked in, so it's like, what? And it's like, oh, great, this is gonna be fun. And yeah, it was not fun. No, I'm not talking.
You're at the wrong meeting.
Director Jackman had
Chair
backed us
Meyer.
up.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the no comment has never meant that we don't care. What it is we may not understand our jurisdictional authority or whether or not we're missing some key information. And our recommendations at rural committee and then at board are very impactful to the people. I can see you on screen there. They're very impactful, and your recommendations are impactful. No comment would never mean you don't care. It might just mean that you're uncertain as to your jurisdictional authority or whether you have enough information to make the kind of impactful decision. that affects real landowners. And that's why I say it should be an option. If you feel this is something that's nebulous, that the Ag Commission itself needs to make the determination, you shouldn't need to try and make a determination if you feel you don't have all the information.
I
That's
think
my comment.
Yeah, I think we've done this a long time, and I don't think we've ever, considered it, because we've always, either yay or nay, and sometimes nobody else sides with us, but sometimes they do. And, that's our opinion on the day, for the way we see it, so.
I guess if it was a matter that was somewhat of a gray area, that maybe we thought that our input wasn't really something that was necessary, and something that was brought to us that maybe didn't really need to be, like we dealt with a few times, then that might be an option for us to say, you know what, it just doesn't have anything, no bearing on agriculture, this one. I mean, that's something we talked about last time, of having it filtered before it comes to us, instead of a small little boundary adjustment coming into a meeting, but we're getting off topic.
Anyways, and different from the group last night is we always do ballot things, and we can't get picked on afterwards for our hands up or not.
Understand.
The hostile crowds.
Yeah.
Anyways,
And I just checked with Robin, and the vote was unanimous, in favor.
Well, we appreciate that. We appreciate, I guess, sitting down, being able to sit down and have the conversation. Like I said, before we got into this process, I had no idea that there was committees doing this kind of stuff.
Thanks for taking time to hear us.
we appreciate it.
Thanks, Sheila, for the cake.
Yeah, it was, right up that far.
Fresh and up out of the garden this morning.
Oh, wow.
Getting pretty good out there.
Our family's been out there just about 100 years. Anyways, I guess you're free to go.
It's nice to guys for coming.
Yeah.
Thanks, you guys.
See everybody else.
And, hopefully we'll see you guys across the counter in the near future.
Yeah, we look forward to that, for sure.
So we understand that.
For you too.
Oh, if it feels anything like the one that was just done, I'm gonna be hop skipping all over the place.
Running around town with a new undercarriage.
Yeah.
So Zach will be reaching out to you, and this is one more step in the process.
Yeah.
And I believe the next step will be coming to us at the Rural Affairs Committee.
Yes.
And I don't know, Gary, if it's as early as June, our rack for this application, could be, maybe, I think it is.
And he kind of was making us aware of that when he came to our sidewalk last
He's going, I don't know.
year, but yeah. So we look forward to meeting again.
Yes.
Thanks for your
Thank
time,
you.
guys.
Yeah.
What did you do? Cut out my name?
Okay, thanks again.
Oh,
Thanks, guys.
do a roll. Yeah. If you're not letting the crowd, you're.
Yeah.
Yes. And then you can get nasty.
No. They'll go, they'll be like, Kelly looks young today.
It's like Roman.
We almost have as much gray hair.
That's after the meeting. Okay, now we'll go on to the other referral. Right, yeah. Number 5.2, so this is the one for the inclusion for the town of Creston. There again, whether to support or not support. Property out at the airport. Are you guys all familiar with what's going on there or not?
The town?
The airport, yeah.
Because a lot of it was all zoned commercial, right? If it was supposed to be the regional airport back in the day. And it never came to fruition, and then peeling parts of it off that they set aside as commercial and swap it for other parts of land within town boundaries.
Do we know what parcels those are? Was there a map actually showing?
There was.
I totally brain farted on looking at it.
So if you can see from there, so of course you got the runway.
Yeah.
And if this piece down in the southeast corner, that whole chunk is what's proposed to go into the ALR. And it's, I got that number with me. It's over twice the size of what the piece that they were pulling outside this sewer plant. That one on here, you know, that piece just south of the sewer plant, I don't know, that's 5 acres or whatever it is there. 15, I don't know, whatever, and you know the piece, right? So that one they were taking out. I'm still, I asked the question last night too, was why we didn't get a package on that
Within town.
with that, and just because it's in town, to me, it shouldn't make any difference, because, I mean, it's still agriculture land, what is there? Like, and it didn't occur to me last night. Of course, I thought about it later, but anyway. So, okay, you got this piece of land in town that has been hayed and cropped or whatever it's been over the years. So that they want to take out and just do it. I thought, and it didn't occur to me, what if, is there not orchards, active orchards within the town boundaries? There is, right?
But they might not be in the ALR. It could be active within town limits.
Sure. But I was thinking that too, because like say then what, so then if, say there is active orchard, and they decide, oh no, we want this for a subdivision or whatever, and they can just do it. To me, it's like, no, you shouldn't be able to, right? So why this one was different, or why is this one allowed to be just stroke with the pen? Okay, they're gonna take that off, and this is their solution. So basically, okay, this is a bigger piece, and now they'll call it ALR, and we're supposed to be happy. Which,
So this is an exchange.
basically, yeah.
So like,
The only thing is this piece is bigger than what they took out, so it's a gain in that respect. But it's
What
just-
was this originally zoned when they took it in to become part of an airport? Was it ALR then and they took it out?
yeah,
So now,
I mean, if it was before 1970.
so they're just putting it back into what it was originally.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't know, but see there again, see on this map, what shows ALR is, you know, all around, but not on that, so. You know any insight on that?
No, but I was gonna point out that the planner is on, and also Gary's got his hand up. I would think there's some history there that you may fill us in.
Hey Gary, do you want to take a stab at that?
Yeah, I find this kind of curious. The piece in town, I agree with you, Randy, that if it's agricultural land and there is a local advisory, then the ALC should be interested in your opinion. But it should be town talking to you guys, not the regional district, because you're a commissioner of the regional district, so it'd be less formal. But I mean, town talks to lots of people about their interests, so regional district commissions aren't beholden to towns, vice versa, but I think they should be asking you. I did pull up the map, and yeah, you can see where there's a few chunks of town property in the LR, but not a whole lot. Like when you start looking north of town, sort of across from Lionel's the hotel there and stuff. Yeah, pretty well the town boundaries they cut off. Lionel's back property is one of the remaining places that was required to stay in ALR when he developed the hotel. But it's a campground now, right? But that's low impact. I don't think there's a lot of other spots. The thing that I find very curious is the town wants to change designation of land without talking to the regional district, because this land at the airport is zoned specifically as M4, mixed use industrial airport. In Area B's land use bylaw, there's a very specific airport M4 zoning for that land. So is this a back way of trying to get Because even though town owns it, they pay taxes as industrial land to the regional district. That's how it goes. The regional district owns property in town, and either we get an exclusion or we pay taxes. But this one, I'd have to check and see if it's excluded. But for them to change the use without changing the zoning is my big question mark. It's zoned specifically industrial airport. The other side of this is we've been talking, I won't get into detail because our conversations drift between talking to the public and not. But that land was gifted by the province to the town for an airport for airport purposes. They're not supposed to be deriving revenues or using it for non-airport purpose. And there's a recently published airport master plan. And if you guys went and read that, I think you'll find it right there. So it's unusual to me that this seems like a slide this in the back process and see what happens on the other end. I can't understand why they would try and change land use designation when it's industrial without starting with the regional district talking about industrial. The other thing, and this is for my fellow directors, I've never seen the revenue from this farm lease in the books, but we put a huge amount of area A, B, C taxation money to support that airport operation. And I've never seen this farm use revenue as part of the mix for the town telling us how that may be supporting the operation of the site. There's a lot of questions here for me. It could be
There's a lot
referred
of-
in my mind.
There's a lot of hay ground on both sides of the runways. So that's been happening for years and years now.
Ever since it started, it's been
I
paying.
guess so, yeah.
Well, who's paying that now? Kitchenson?
Pigeons, yeah.
So the bigger question here is, with the master plan and the plans for the society to increase their operation potential out at the airport. We're hearing from the town that they're kind of confined. There's a provision with the province, somewhat restrictive provisions of the province as to what you can do for revenue opportunity generation out there. Which is getting into, I was talking about the public component of what we've been talking about, and I have to draw a line there. I guess suffice it to say, Gary, that I'm glad that you brought it up, framed it the way you did. Because in my mind, my question was, why are they doing this? I'm not quite sure that I understand everything that's connected to it. And so I think that we're gonna have some more conversation about this.
Like, to me, the way I see it is that, they're offering us this, which is bigger than what they want to take out. So yeah, that's an easy win. We're gaining more ALR land, right? So from the surface, yeah, that looks like legit and fair game. But like I say, maybe there's, like say, with the different zonings or this or that or whatever.
Gary's check, Gary's jumping.
That's different. That's different, right?
So you're exactly right, Randy. I mean, I've seen one of these recently with Kokanee Springs Resort, the golf course. So they've got a lot of land. Some is randomly in ALR and some is not, because Photos BC after World War II in the 50s mapped areas and said ALR, they mapped areas, period. And then Dave Barrett's government took those maps in the 70s and said, that's a farm and that's not. So Kokanee Springs has land that because it was forested or didn't have LIDAR, they didn't put it in the LR, and then a little ways over they did. And so Kokanee Springs wanted to release a piece from ALR for non-farm use. And so they got the approval by swapping. This is normal. Swapping land, inclusion versus exclusion, and the commission says, yeah, okay. In this case, though, that land, M4 industrial, is not eligible for farming. Both by the provincial rule that it must be used for airport purpose, or it could revert back to the province. And I'll bet you the province would take it like that because there's other people who want land. That's one. And then the other is the zoning requirement. Farming is not a permitted zone use in M4 airport, in regional district zoning M4. So to me, this is, if anything, this is a spot you guys should say no comment. because there's a lot going on here. Swapping land is normal, but you don't usually swap land into the LR that is not eligible to farm. Technically not eligible to farm. That's the conundrum here. Whether or not
Would
they
that-
want to, there's
Would
steps.
that, sorry, would that play into the fact that you guys have never seen any revenue from the farming taking place on the property now? Maybe it's probably not supposed to be.
Well, it's curious to me that's been going on for 2 years. I've been a director for 18. I've never heard about this proposed swap until now. I am aware of the exclusion property because I've worked for a lot of either you guys for your farm buildings or other industrial buildings, including Pine Profiles. So I know about the Pine Profiles applications that the exclusion speaks to. That's years ago. I might have been involved in that a decade ago. This is the first time I've ever heard about changing the land use at the airport itself. And our staff at this point, they don't provide an opinion because they're trying not to bias your expertise and your thoughts. When we see it at rural committee, we'll have a staff opinion, and all of my questions will be answered because I chair that. So if they're not answered in the report, I will refer the report. That's just the way it's got to happen. We have to have the information to make a clear decision. I think there's information lacking here. Why would the ALC allow land to come into the farm status when it's not allowed to be farmed? How is that satisfying their no net loss provision? Are they aware that it's not allowed to be farmed? Nothing in that McTavish or whatever report says this land is restricted use both by zoning and by a provincial covenant when the land was initially gifted to the town. That's misleading to the commission by not providing full disclosure.
My concern was is just that the town's doing it themselves and they would have approved the proposal within house, like the mayor or council, or whoever said, yeah, we're happy with this, just pass it on without even the community having any input on it. Forget about a commission, just people within the town of Creston.
What is the quality of that land that they want to change? Is it trees and hills and rocks, or is it actually farmable
No,
land?
that's already in.
It's in hay now.
Oh, yeah, or in and out, and then I think is the other thing they're doing is taking, I don't know, the sludge or whatever you call it, from the septic or the sewer plant and spreading it on there, I guess, working it in. So sometimes it's in hay, but sometimes it's being worked and so on.
Well, the leasing gets a contract to apply sludge to the land that he then farms. And I've never seen it come up for bid. You,
Not something that I would probably notice.
it's public, right?
But it's well, do I put that there or not? I think, put it this way, I think Ed is dealing with the sludge and the work in the land there, so whether it's that piece or on the sides of the runway, I don't know, so I won't say, but it could be that it isn't being put on there this year, I don't know, for sure.
Yeah.
But there again, he's been
No,
working,
they split it on that 16 down by my place.
oh, yeah,
They kind of flip and flop, they don't they?
They probably rotate,
yeah, maybe, yeah. So,
but it's a lot better now than when it was like,
Oh, yeah.
because it used to contaminate.
so,
But yeah, Gary's right, this is a no comment.
yeah, but like I say there again, but you know, being that it's come to us with, we get to look at what's in front of us, right? So what do you do, you know?
I guess this is another, for me, directors. How is it that staff didn't notice what Gary just pointed out to us? Why are we even here tonight looking at this when it shouldn't have been probably a known to our?
I don't know, yeah,
I tried asking questions about it, I didn't get very far.
It seems like it shouldn't have, it should have stopped at the word go until said situations were, I'm sure the planners are more than educated in what's allowed on zoning and what isn't.
I'm not sure of the order of the process. That's why we need planning staff. They may recommend that you do a trial test with the land commission, and then you come to the zoning change and do a public hearing. I don't know what the appropriate order is for working through these strategies. so when planning would comment, I don't know, it'd be nice if they're here to tell us that. But the whole flip side of that is, you would think there needs to be a regional district disclosure as to limitations on the land. And there should be, like, it's not zoned for farm, and there should be it's not a permitted use. And there should be a town of Creston disclosure that they have a covenant or restriction on the land from the province. The order those things are disclosed or added or compounded, I have no idea. Planning staff should be able to give those answers. To me, this is one, if this came to my review as rural chair, I would refer it. I'd say we're not going to sit down and talk about this till we have somebody who says they can speak to those details, or you put it in writing. Because it is bad policy and bad process to make decisions without complete information.
I thought
It's-
Town of
it's-
Creston,
that's-
Well, I feel kind of I've had my time wasted when giving it to us as a trial was kind of like, well, come on. We, you know, we're not up on what you just informed us. I mean, we could have, if you were absent tonight, there's a good chance that we would have just voted on the information we had.
Well,
And that's not fair.
Yeah.
We're not planners.
Cause like I say, from where we see, from where we sit, you know, it was the same last night at the APHC. This is the same thing, same wording, and it's like, okay, town was taking that out for the septic plant expansion, which would have been a need. I mean, in my opinion, it's probably, that's an inevitable thing, and then, you know, town is in need of this, what else do you do? Whatever. But the piece they want to put in is larger, and it is growing crop and whatever. So it's up to us on that surface, it's a win. And that's sort of where it went last night, and that's the way I would have expected it to go here as well. So now you get this whole different scenario. Yeah, so that's just a whole different thing.
I came into tonight expecting the town to be here, answer some questions and then move forward. But if they weren't here, I was of the mind of we can't make a decision because we don't know how it got this far.
What is the purpose? What are they wanting to do with said land that they want to take out? Sewer plant or just dump concrete around and fill it?
They state they need more industrial land, and that's for expansion. And I fully understand that issue in town. It
See,
is an issue. Heavy industrial.
Well, I mean, a lot of the time that's got 3 feet of water in it.
Yeah.
And they started dumping concrete and curbs and junk from the town probably 10 years ago in one corner until I think somebody caught them. There's a whole bunch of concrete stuff in the southeast corner because we've hit that for several years. We've been around that property since probably 40 years now.
So yeah, so like I say, this changes kind of the.
As a side note, right, like the town boundaries are so restricting and there's no land left inside to do anything with it. You go to town, they got commercial and industrial all over the place. We don't have any of that. We can't expand till we move into DLR no matter what direction we go. Right now, they're trying to say, oh, we need this, so we just take this out. Let's say, okay, come back with a plan for that whole street.
Exactly, it should be a bigger picture.
Yeah, it's not just because they want
Little
it.
piece by piece.
If the town really wants to have like a growing concern and have attract business, free up some land. Cause where are you gonna put a big business in town? You can't put one in, you can't manufacture anywhere.
That's why Pine Profiles eventually got through. Gary doesn't want to go there, and I don't think any of us do, but.
So I would think, being that we have this information now that we didn't have prior, that I don't think we can vote on for a support or not support. More like you say, defer it or refer it back to that regional district or the town to come up with more information or whatever, right?
Well, we don't know because here, without a planner here, we don't know, we don't understand what the process is and how to move this. Does this need to come back to you guys? Is it, that's, with a deferral, you're gonna have it coming back.
Yeah.
With a no comment, as Gary explained, it's a position that you're taking because you don't have all the information.
Maybe that's the right route then.
Yeah, there is.
That's me. It's the same.
Is it?
No, we don't have a planner here.
Not yet. They are trying to make it. They just had, they're double booked with another EV.
Okay, I thought that was, they were in the meeting last night and,
Was the town at the meeting last night?
No.
I have a question, I think for you directors to dig into a little bit on the legalities of the spreading of sludge on agriculture land. If we are applying sludge to a piece of property that is technically not even zoned for farming, what are we doing? It seems like the town has an attitude of, we do what we want. And they're not willing to participate in the process. Now, I have a question environmentally. I know that there's a lot of rules regarding applying said sludge to farmland. I would like clarification of that those rules are being followed.
I observed the sludge. And it is, all being placed within 30 feet of the runway. Right on this side of the runway all the way down. So it's, I would think that this is the ag land. This, so they seem to be very close to the runway, like right up against it. So I bet they,
Well, there is protocols as far as testing soil before nutrients like that can be applied.
and they had some equipment on site, and they had stripped the top 8 inches, 10 inches, and it was just gravel. There was no topsoil after they stripped it. I don't know if that,
They stripped it, but then they put the sludge on top of that.
but the slide on top of the clay and gravel in rows right alongside the runway.
There's still protocol for testing.
Not very good bacteria.
So in Denmark, they banned this practice because the cows are not getting pregnant after because there's too much estrogen and stuff left in that sludge.
There's no bacteria to process.
Well, the sludge is heavy and
So-
everything.
Years ago, when Joe Stonepack was the mayor, they were finding liquid stuff down in our road. I went in and had a talk with him, and he gave me a long list of everything they test for. But there's certain chemicals there they don't test for because they don't want to test, and that's what's getting the ground in trouble. So yeah, their mandate shows they have to test for X number of chemicals, but some of these chemicals don't go away. That's in that sludge. And birth control, and stuff is being flushed down there, and that's what's stopping the cattle in Denmark from being pregnant.
So Dale
But
put
it's coming
forward
out the feet.
good point of view.
It's written,
And
there's papers on it.
And I know what you're asking for. As directors, we ought to be checking in to see if that is a best practice and acceptable practice. But then in my mind, that's town land, I believe. And so really the concern or the question needs to be put forward to the town. And they have to do that investigation and respond to that concern or question. So
It's a valid concern.
So I'm not saying, what I want to point out to you is that I hear what you're saying. But we as directors may not have the latitude just to bust in, knock on the door and say, hey, what's going on out here? It's generally a complaint driven process. And I guess I could just leave it at that because Gary's got his hand up.
Go ahead.
Ken, we did talk about this because we produce Class A compost now at the landfill, right, at our organics diversion site. So, and Kelly, you'd have to go back and dig through a lot of reports. There's an organic matter recycling regulation, OMRR, that's a BC standard for Class A and Class B organics or biosolids. We follow that to produce our biosolids. When they leave the site that we produce them at the landfill site, then whoever takes them needs to have a land application plan. So a qualified professional drafts a specific plan, outlines the application rates, timing, soil testing before any spreading occurs. And then on the site, there has to be a buffer zone from wells, water bodies. Grazing animals are restricted from treated sites for a minimum of so many days. There's waiting periods for planting crops, etc. That's all set out by provincial regulation, not by the regional district. But we've been advised or apprised of some of it because we wanted to make sure we invested in our organics diversion site that we meet Class A. Class A can be used for food production process because the vectors, bacteria and other germs, whatever, have been killed off the way it's been processed. You can't use any old biosolid in agricultural production because you may be transmitting disease. And then there is a notice must be given to the Agricultural Land Commission if you're doing land application on ALR land. So there's more stuff if you start going down that path. Provincial regulation, the town, I would expect, has a land application plan. My historical experience is not from here. It's from electoral area I and J, because Mercer Selgar does this as well. They have a different kind of biosolid. And Andy Davidoff tuned me up to this probably a dozen or 15 years ago. But the town should answer separately to those things. So they have a land application plan, restrictions, water setbacks, all that stuff, all provincially regulated, and some ALC overlap if in fact they got land into the ALR. There's another set of rules.
So Gary, I just had to throw in there as well that we're making an assumption that this material is coming from the town to that site. Technically, they're the owners, the town is the owners of the land, but the society operates, maintains, and leases that airport site from the town. So I'm just thinking out loud, do they have some arrangement or agreement or something in place for this activity? We need to determine that. Is that their activity or is it a town activity on town land? So.
No idea, but I think the
There's-
landowner has to have the plan.
Let's be a little bit more.
Well, if we have a member here, maybe they could give us some answers. But obviously we don't, so.
Yeah, I guess we just basically gotta kick the can down the road, however the.
Oh, we can, I'll make a stop or two.
I have a flimsy train.
No, actually, I guess with all of this, but we really can't do a determination on it then because there's just way too many questions, right? So.
Just seemed like the town was trying to pull a fast one when they put the application and they approved it in-house by themselves, the mayor, council, somebody fucking signed it and then passed it on and they just hoped that it slid on through.
I would also like to draw attention to the fact, just what Dean mentioned. Historically, that land can be 2 to 4 feet of water in there. When that kooky backs up, that all flushes into there. We've had to move cattle out of there in 4 feet of water.
So it'll have
Or
remnants
the
of
beavers
dam.
dam.
Well, whatever they do there has great possibility of a lot of leachate back into the water.
The soil testing will show that it's high water,
One's down there to bring pumps or.
right?
In fact, one of the town wells, not very far from there.
Oh, yeah, this is really getting interesting.
And then,
Reading here.
and then they discharge it to the river at 5 o'clock.
So I went in
So
there
don't go swimming.
when I was younger. Combine. And I got stuck in there.
You're
It was
stuck in
flooded.
shit.
I was not happy that day.
We're paying attention again.
The more,
I was up there like this.
You were
and
too busy
all of a
looking
sudden
at your phone for the map.
more to that story is where Pine Profiles is and that general area is all the old dump from years ago.
It used to be done down there.
Dad put a power pole in when he was West Kootenai Power, they were down 10 feet, still pulling garbage out of there.
Yeah.
And that's about 150 meters from the well.
Yeah, I couldn't understand how they put it up. I really couldn't.
So what's your vote?
Anyway, I should say that this is gonna be way above our pay grade.
I say,
You should have seen that chemtrails the other day too.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
Wow,
So yes, I guess we'll have to call it
impassable.
what was the word you used?
No comment.
No comment thing?
We can defer.
Or you can defer it and have it brought back.
Might be interesting.
Should probably
See what comes. If it comes
maybe
back.
we defer it because we do have a lot of questions.
Yeah, so
I
that's,
say defer it because there's so much we don't know.
yeah,
Well, but just to point out in terms of the process, because as Gary had pointed out earlier, the planner's not here, we don't know what that process is. So in all good intention, you could suggest deferral
okay.
with the idea of coming back, but it may not be a part of that process. So
And if I could just point out that
Yes, you can.
we do have another referral, so we will have to plan another meeting before the end of June.
Yeah.
So we could move it off.
What's the next one
Oh, it's another one like this one.
from the town?
Mhm.
Well, at least they might get the next one, right?
Maybe they can do both things at the same time, but June, we start getting here towards mid of June and the weather changes.
is that,
We're gonna have a tough luck getting us, maybe an evening meeting, but
Maybe,
are you available about 9:30?
basically, yeah, if there's a rainy day, we'll call you up.
Okay.
That's as much notice as you're gonna get.
Do you want to refer?
Yeah, let's do it that way.
Yeah.
See what happens and
If it wasn't the town, it would be such a conspiracy theory. It's awesome. I love it.
Thank you, Director Jackie, for enlightening us on this.
yes.
Definitely.
Otherwise, it was just a simple, oh yeah, no brainer, yes, we're getting more than what they're taking out, so.
That's why they didn't show they knew what they were doing.
Okay,
Well, you don't have to drive back now, Gary.
so now the other thing, there's one more thing. This bylaw amendment referral under Sadie's purview. And want to know whether we support the bylaw amendments.
that's from last night?
From last night.
Shouldn't that have been done last night?
Yeah, they were probably in there.
Well, we did it at the APC
Oh, somewhere in there.
and Sadie was on the thing.
But never been through it.
Tried to help us decipher what all that was. I can honestly say I didn't spend much time looking at that because there's pages and pages of stuff on that one.
Yeah.
And when I'm looking at this, I was thinking, I don't really get what's going on there. She was trying to decipher it there last night. And even at that, it's pretty, to me anyway, it's still pretty fuzzy. So I'm not sure what we can do about that.
So this is bylaw amendments for Area B last night?
Yes.
It's A, B, and C.
Yeah.
It's the DPA stuff.
I think Gary wants to comment on this.
Okay.
I've brought this up 6 different ways in the last little while. A couple of years ago, the province said, we're gonna have more housing, and the way we're gonna get it is we're gonna require all local governments to allow a second dwelling unit. So that might be a carriage house, a second small house, or a suite within an existing house. Whether a town, city, village, or rural area likes it or not, you're going to have to change your zoning to allow that. The province said, this is how we're gonna address housing. They made it law. It was Bill 44. So they told every town, city, village, and regional district, change your zoning bylaws by a certain date, or we may penalize you. And a few resisted, but eventually they all did. Our staff looked at our zoning and started making changes. And they gave us a huge package, shy of 2 years ago, saying we have to do this because of Bill 44. That's what our public documents and our rationale for doing these changes. No community plan review, no public hearing. We must do this. The province said we must do this. I made a big song and dance about a leap of faith, saying, wow, this is a lot of changes. And nope, you have to do it. So after the first set of changes were made, then we had to go back and change our community plan retroactively to match the zoning. And I had more time to dig into this. Then I realized that what the law that the province set out was that restricted zones had to allow at least a second house. And by restricted zones, those are zones where you were only allowed one house, suburban residential, single family dwelling. So we had to change R1 to allow the second dwelling. Can't call it family anymore. They changed the language, whatever. Some of our R2 zoning also didn't necessarily allow a second house. It was restricted. So we had to change that. But we did not have to change our R3 and R4, country residential and rural residential. The only other restrictions are agricultural lands, where there were already provisions that we had discussed and you guys had understood to allow the second residential dwelling, the second small accessory dwelling that didn't make a huge big footprint and ruin the rest of the land for farming. So we had very few zones that were restricted, and we were already permitting that second dwelling in some cases. But our zoning bylaws were more harshly restricted and changed to cap every lot at 2 houses unless you subdivided. Now, not a farm, but you could have 50 acres up the lake. Parents developed a cabin in the 50s, had 3 kids, they're gone. And now there's multiple owners, shared interest owners, 3 ways. And I can take you to places with 3 houses. All of a sudden, those became legal non-conforming, saying that the premier changed the law when he did not change the law for those lots. We changed our zoning, not in good faith, in my view. This is undoing that. So we'll still have the limitations on ag zones for the accessory dwelling, size limitations. We still have the footprint restriction. But on our big lots, R3, R4, where you could have 2 large homes, not a little tiny home plus the main home, or you could have 3 homes if it's not a farmland, that's been unwound. So you can go back to that. So it's what we call area-based restriction on housing instead of just a cap. 2 houses, that's it. You want to put a 3rd house on your 100 acres, you got to start subdividing. Subdividing is very expensive. You might spend half the money on subdividing that you could have built the house. That's what this is all about. It is unwinding changes that we made, I believe, not in good faith. Been waiting a year and some to see them. When this went through area AAPHC, we did have Sadie available to speak to it. Based on what you had last night, Randy, did it make sense that it was a process of unwinding unnecessary changes, or how is it sort of presented in general?
Well, I'd say it's sort of presented that, yes, it was undoing or going back to what had been prior in some respect. But it was almost like there was still, how would I put it? It still isn't the right way, or not necessarily the right way of doing it, and it still has confusion there. I think that what she was saying is there was some lots that are, I think, in R3, but they're in ALR. So then they go in thinking that, oh, because it's R3, you can do this, this, and this, but because it's ALR, no, you still can't do this, this, or this. And there's confusions in there and stuff. And so it didn't sound like it was a preferable way to go.
So I understand the problem where we have ag land. It's in the ALR, but it's not zoned as ag land. And when we do our community plan and updates, which are way overdue, that's where we need to get down to business and fix inappropriately zoned land. Because then there's no confusion. But yeah, we have lots that should not be zoned one way just because of the size, where they're located. Because we didn't, I think, apply enough scrutiny when zoning came in the first place. But the fact that we have a few, say R3, that are agricultural, that's the few. The basic concern is that your use and enjoyment of land, of large lots, agricultural aside, your use and enjoyment was truncated or limited under the guise of what the province changed, when that was not something they changed. It was changed by an internal staff decision. And as directors, I'd say I missed the boat. When you make big changes in use and enjoyment of land, you're supposed to talk to the people, not say the province made us do it, and then later say, oh, whoops, they didn't. So in my mind, in Area A, the items that have to be unwound will go back. We have very little ag zoned land in Area A, so there'd be fewer examples where there might be someone down the road who's confused. But either our staff do a complete official community plan the way they should have. We talk about it from ground up, how we built our strategy of land use, and everybody understands it. Or they go back to the last time we had that official community plan review. And these changes that are redlined are going back to what we had the last time the regional district went to community face to face and said, how do you want to do this? There will always be anomalies in that, because I see all kinds of zoning anomalies, but they're by the handful, they're not by the hundreds. So I put aside those anomalies.
This has been a very complex conversation that we've been having for quite some time. Gary is probably, I look to him as the champion for figuring this stuff out. So it's one thing as directors to understand how the OCPs and zoning and bylaws work. Then you have Bill 44 that gets dropped on you and all this red line stuff. It is a mess of paperwork that was really hard to follow along. Gary stuck through it and said, whoa, staff, you're doing more than what's really required here. You're taking an opportunity to change things the way that you see it. And I will just say that Gary was adamant that no, it needs to stop. The next time we look at those type of changes in our OCP, which is why A, B, and C have talked about an alignment of our OCP so that we're not waiting, we can get it done. But then Roger and I have had the opportunity to kind of come up to speed on that. Our position has been to agree with Gary's comments with A, and so B and C is really just going back to the way it was. Nothing else is really changing. And when the OCP conversation comes up, then we'll talk about any modernization opportunities or any changes. So.
Like one thing, because I know we dealt somewhat with this, with the housing thing that wants to have all this more housing. And yet the way we looked at it and brought it up at that point was, for here, a lot of it, like, we don't want more housing, we shouldn't have more housing because we don't have the water supply to support that. It's almost like you gotta go back to some of these kind of things. Just because the government said, oh, we want more housing, well, no, we don't necessarily have to have more housing. We shouldn't have to have just because somebody says we're supposed to, right? That's how I see some of this.
But the other part of it too is like in Erickson Road out of it, they tell us there's a water shortage and we hear there isn't. We either have to decide if there is or isn't, and if there isn't, we can say, okay, up, build skyscrapers, or no more building.
To me, these changes seem, from what I understand, Mr. Jackman, that it's going to clean up a situation where you've got that 100 acres in Boswell.
Yeah.
With 3 family houses on it.
Yeah.
That becomes very cumbersome and hard to navigate when that family gets in a fight and they want to start to sell. And then they start wanting to make a subdivision then, because Bob wants his own land for his kids. He doesn't want the kids to be part of the 3 people that own it now.
Yeah.
So then we're dealing with subdivision or trying to subdivide it after the fact. Instead of saying, well, no, if you want 3 houses, you subdivide it first. Is that kind of the crux of it?
That's one possible scenario, but you shouldn't force everybody to subdivide their land, is my premise. Unless community as a whole has agreed that you have a cap of 2 houses, period, or subdivide. Community has never been posed that question. They've never been asked, do we have to cap every lot at 2 houses or subdivide? So
Yeah.
everybody's opinion may be different. My job is not to try and impose my opinion. My job is to point out the fact that we remove the opportunity for the entire community, instead of A, B, and C, to discuss this by imposing a 2-house cap. So this is unwinding some, but you will see in this, page 174 of 196, section 23.2, Ag 1 in area B, the minimum lot was 4 hectares, and now it clarifies for subdivision is 4 hectares, because you may be able to subdivide ag. So there's a couple extra words added there. But then it also clarifies only 1 single detached housing is permitted per lot. So depending how carefully you read this, it's very clear. The only problem is when you have an ALR property that's not zoned ag. That will work against what you guys have worked for, is to preserve the land and not clutter it with houses and barns and boat sheds and whatever people like to throw on their large lots.
I have one of those lots.
Well, I've worked on developing some of them up and down the lake and all over the place. The barn has not one critter in it except the odd rat, pack rat or some mice, but it's got lots of tools and toys. So it's the principle to me that we were premature, overinterpreted what the province was requiring of us. And this to me is a pause. Let's go back to the words we used to have until all the community has this discussion. I'm insulted by the unsustainable, oh, you can't live on the landscape, that's unsustainable. You couldn't have a 3rd house up that hillside, that's unsustainable. That's nonsense. What's unsustainable is for all of us to live on top of each other. Big cities, Calgary's water failed big time twice now. Kamloops has 6,000 houses in Valley View, no water. Big and better and stacked on top of each other is not sustainable either, apparently. So this is a principled thing that somebody's trying to say, oh, you shouldn't live out in the landscape. You should what? We'll all just cluster in Creston? We just had this discussion. Creston's hemmed in. Creston's well in front of a lot of this, allowing carriage houses. And at some point, I've asked council and mayor, do you want to talk boundary expansion? You want to talk district municipality? Do you want to talk 20 years into the future? Let's talk. What happens instead is boundary expansions happen in little niches here and there and create resentment and friction. If we want a conversation about how many people we want to jam into Creston, let's do that. But one, it shouldn't be on the farmland like it's happening now. It should be up some hillside. Or you just let the hillside develop as a rural area. But that's a community conversation. That's not something to be dictated by staff as a upping the game of something dictated by the province. It's bad enough the province dictated their first set of rules. This to me is roll it back until the people of the entire area have a conversation. And we're all smart enough to understand, if this conversation is not for 5 years from now, we'll know where we have water, where we don't have water. We'll know what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. But all of us can decide that, not a couple of planners.
What is it asking for?
My soapbox is, I'm going to put it away over here now and mute.
I think you hit the nail on the head that we need to look at the future, not just what's right in front of us. And what Dave said earlier, like if you're wanting more industrial land, well, let's make an area that has more industrial land, instead of going, oh, we wanna take out this little wedge. And then next week, we're gonna take another little wedge, and then we're gonna take another little wedge. Make a plan, this is what we want here, this is what we're gonna do.
So they're being asked, Gary, you could probably read it, that, Area B advisory, this is advisory planning commission.
Yeah, that's not.
It's a typo.
Okay, support or not support the bylaw amendment referral form for electoral area B. That is what we asked to take it back to. That would be the amendment in the bylaw. So they're either supporting what you had put forward tonight or comment.
Yeah, so, yeah, what Sadie has very carefully done, because I had our APHC a few weeks ago, I read through this. She has rolled back every change that was not required by the province.
Okay, that's
She
what we
picked
wanted.
through everything that was changed and inserted the old language, with the exception of some language changes. We're no longer allowed to refer to a single family dwelling. It's
What
a
is it
principal
referred to?
residence or a second.
There's modernization of some definitions. And it was single-family housing now becomes this. It's the same thing, but I don't know why they're calling it different.
Because they have LGBTQ2S.
A definition of a family can be multiple different things now.
You and your dog.
So then supporting this is in fact supporting that which we've eloquently laid out. We went back to A, B, and C.
This is a return to the
Okay,
model that community agreed to when we were all asked to engage in official community planning back in 2013, 2012, 2013.
That's what APHC voted to do last night.
support,
No.
not support the bylaw amendment?
It was
Okay.
4-3.
Yeah, it's supposed to, but I think there again, it's just that confusing and the wording and,
It's complex.
yeah, and I think for a lot of us, it's just, I don't know,
Especially when you sit down and it's already 10 o'clock and you're trying to go through it.
yeah.
Although our planner last night, the conversation we had, she thought we were dead on, like anyway,
Yeah.
she, was.
I remember that, as Gary had pointed out, we've had a lot of conversation around this, and there was moments of clarity. As Gary has laid out now, has been the total moment of clarity, and that is, we understand about modernizing some of the definitions, but we need to roll this back to the way it was, and the OCP is the right place to have this type of conversation. So that is the bylaw amendment that you're either supporting or not supporting.
So basically, we want to support it, so it goes back to what it was prior.
To revert it back to the original.
So I don't think that was clear enough last night.
No,
Well,
Yeah.
it's the restricted lots, previously restricted lots, now still have to allow 2 dwellings. So we're not rolling everything back because the province did mandate that there's no longer a single family suburban residential lot. You gotta allow the second dwelling unit. So we're rolling back all the unnecessary changes from before. That's what makes it.
I have a property that's ALR unrestricted. So that means I can put up 2 big homes.
It's in the ALR,
But it's
and the
unrestricted.
ALR requires the second dwelling be a certain size. That's another
But
set of.
yeah,
rules.
I don't, unrestricted means I don't have to deal with the ALR, I just have to follow RDCK.
Unfortunately not, and that's where the world is complicated,
I
isn't
think
it?
it's a thing.
It is, ALR unrestricted.
Oh, God. This can go on and on and on.
Yeah. Okay, do you vote on this thing?
Do you guys want both?
I don't think it matters at this point. I don't think we need to hide it.
Okay, so then do we,
I think. Go ahead. I just think that we make it clear what we're. You make a motion that says clearly what we're agreeing to. That's what that statement is, I don't know.
So if we vote to support this, that helps to roll back some of these changes, right? So it is better that way, correct?
That wasn't our understanding last time.
No,
That's what we're kind of, I mean, I understand what Mr. Jackman says, but
or do we do like we did with the other one and defer it or no comment thing or whatever? Cause like, I don't know.
it's kind of above our pay grade.
That was just gonna say that too, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and you're not supported with the planners. Yeah, we were well supported last night.
Yeah.
The conversation was thorough.
So actually, it just seems, it's confusing. And one thing for my perspective too, about the OCP. Our area OCP, we did that over was when Kettle was here. So that's going back quite a pile of years. Because I was in on that too. We had one lady and she had time, she was nitpicking every phrase and sentence in that thing, and we spent weeks on that. But anyway, that's getting to be quite a long time ago. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's changed since. So anyway, that's probably where it should go.
Do we have any idea when we're going to be re-looking at the OCP?
It's funny you say you're muted right now, Gary, but we just had a priority list given to us. The alignment work for the OCP for ABC is identified on there as a priority, but there's no timeline applied to it. Gary pointed it out and said, not acceptable. You have to put something in there. In the meantime, we are working together to, anytime we have sort of these bylaw kind of zoning kind of OCP type questions, and we're talking about DPAs right now. We're being very cognizant of aligning it so that it's similar in A, B, and C, just so that we can move ahead to our OCP quicker.
As a group.
Yeah.
What's your guys' take on this? I feel, no offense, Mr. Jackson, but I'm thinking a planner could have maybe laid it out. Maybe not as good as you, but I don't know. I'm a little bit foggy still, I have to say.
Being as that we're gonna end up having to meet sometime again here anyway, should we defer it to another excuse me, another meeting and see if we have the planner to try to.
I guess if our actual opinion is important to everyone, then we need more facts. I agree with Randy at this point. For us to actually make an honest opinion of it, I think we need to relook at it.
Okay, so you realize that if you defer to bring it back, which is totally within the realm, you could do that. You have to prepare. You have to read through the document and make notes, because otherwise you will not. You'll be in the same head fuzzy position.
I ain't gonna like to happen either.
It's just, there's a lot of information in there.
And I hear that this does not apply to ag land. So why are they putting this on this group to support it or not?
There are some
There's
areas of interest though for ag land that would be covered off in there. Bill 44 typically didn't affect agricultural land.
Depending on what it's zoned though, if I'm correct. Is that correct, Mr. Jackman? It can be ALR land that's affected if it's zoned differently.
Correct. If it's what I call inappropriately zoned, that's a bit of a problem. If it's ALR land zoned Ag 1, 2, or 3, you're already allowed a second dwelling on those zones. But if it's ALR land zoned R3, the inference is you could have a third, fourth, fifth house, depending how big it is, but there's always another rule that you might have to follow and check. And that is, to me, sloppiness is a harsh word, but when you have agricultural reserve, then it seems you must zone it agricultural.
Makes
Otherwise,
sense.
you're just asking for trouble down the road. You're just begging trouble down the road. Why would you have a difference? Hence my concern, industrial M4 airport being asked to be in the agricultural land reserve. Just asking for trouble down the road.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm comfortable to vote on it, that it is going to backtrack and relook at the OCP and correct what could be possibly wrong at this time.
So we're gonna support it, to do that, right? Right.
Preferably. It's our choice, obviously.
I think sometimes it makes sense to step back. And then,
That's what I'm
that's
thinking.
what that's, yeah.
I'm thinking if we could step back,
Yeah.
but we're moving, we need to look at it and support it to move forward with fixing the issues. We're not actually making legislation tonight, or
Okay,
we're supporting, in my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, we're going to support moving forward to correct maybe some mistakes or that have been made by Bill Ford.
It's farmland.
44 and the staff assertions as a result of it.
Yeah.
Okay, if that's what it's reading, I'm comfortable to vote on it.
let's go there.
Make the amendments, so can't we? On how we're gonna word it? Instead of what's written.
Yeah, if anyone wants to send those suggestions to me, please, by all means, do.
I think it basically, you know, what Kelly just said is kind of hits the nail on the head.
So you are looking at supporting or not supporting the bylaw amendments?
Yes.
That is what Gary spoke to at the kind of rollback of portions of it. At this time, we had felt in our discussions that the OCP table is the right place to have any type of those changes. And then the ag side, they're not as blatant on the ag side, but they're, as Gary pointed out, you need to be aware of.
We're gonna fix it right.
Okay, I think that's as clear as we're gonna get, so. All
Can
in
I
favor? Go
Ask
ahead.
what, before you vote, Chair, this should not say Area B APC, it should say Creston Valley Ag Advisory Commission.
Right.
It should also, in the very end, refer to electoral areas A, B, and C. You have the
Right.
material for all three, this is not just Area B. Cause you guys make recommendation for all of A, B, and C.
Yeah.
So I guess, Robin, that the beginning of this recommendation needs to be corrected and then the end as well. It would be for all three.
I support it as read.
Okay, so yeah, so all in favor then? Okay.
Thank you, Gary.
We do have one observer online to call for public time.
Okay. All right, so then if we move to public time, does the observer want to speak up or say or show themselves? Going once? Going twice? Doesn't look like it. No more public time.
You should get Kelly to do it. Yeah, sure.
Sure. Next meeting to be determined early soon in June, I suppose. With that, we'll adjourn the meeting, 9:00 on the dot, look at that, eh?
I think all of us, the sooner we can get a meeting, got together, the better.
You keep that. I'll remember. If I show up again, I'll be Dave.
Say something totally random.
Well, yeah. Normal course of back.
Bye, Gary.
Later, Gary.
Thank